This is One on One. Steve Adubato coming to you from the North Ward Center in Newark, New Jersey, Brick City. This is part of an ongoing series looking at autism, a different way of thinking about autism. We're pleased to be joined by Hetal Narciso. And she's Director of Vocational Rehabilitation Services at Jewish Vocational Service of MetroWest. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about the organization specifically. How does your organization help those dealing with autism?
So JVS is a nonprofit agency that helps people with disabilities, especially people on the spectrum. We have a career center that works. Yes, autism spectrum. Yeah. We have a career center that works specifically with individuals on the spectrum and helping them find employment in the community.
Let's break this down a little bit. What kind of skills are we talking about?
So we work with individuals that are right out of the school systems to individuals that also have master's degrees in computer science and IT.
Hold on, back up.
Yeah.
A 28-year-old master's degree from wherever versus someone who is just out of high school? Just
out of high school, yeah. Looking for entry-level position.
Are the needs different for one person versus another dealing with autism depending upon their education level, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, the needs are different. I think it's very individualized based on each individual's needs. The big difference also is the one thing that they do have in common is the social aspect of just getting through an interview process. And
How hard is it?
It's difficult.
So we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, we were talking before we got on camera, there's a degree of nerves on your part. Sometimes I have the same thing. What would be different for, I don't know if there's there's no such thing, but for someone dealing with autism, when it comes to verbal communication, why would it be different or how?
Being able to express themselves, being able to, provide eye contact with an employer, being able to talk about their experiences sometimes, which can be very difficult, and having emotion attached to that as well. The interview process can be very daunting, very nerve-wracking. Someone, I think, more nerves than I think,
normal nerves.
Yeah.
I should say normal, average nerves.
Yeah.
Are there distractions that we may not pick up that those dealing with autism may?
Yes. It depends on the environment as well. Sometimes, an environment that is large and it could be overwhelming as opposed to just more of a small facility that's one-on-one. And also being able to talk about the actual work that they're doing. Being able to talk about their strengths and maybe limitations can be difficult, being able to express that. Whereas they know what the work is and they're able to do the work, but just putting that verbally and communicating that can be the challenge.
One of the things we're going to be talking about in a forum that we're doing with 10 experts, 10 professionals dealing in the field of autism, is the whole question of urban versus suburban disparity. Let's just say they're disparate. Some believe there's a great disparity between those in urban areas versus suburban areas with respect to A, diagnosis of those dealing with autism, and B, services. Accurate?
That is accurate.
Break it down.
So many times I think individuals within the urban areas are not aware of the services that are even out there.
Because?
They just aren't provided with that information. I get a lot of parents that their children transition out of the school system and they, find us just by chance. It's not that the school system is really educating them that they need to go for X, Y, and Z service after. Whereas I think in the suburban areas, there is a lot more education of what services exist and what the next steps could be for their child.
So let's take this a step back. Would it be accurate to say, if I were to say that my interpretation of what you just said, is that one zip code has a significant impact on that young person's ability and his or her family or anyone dealing with autism to get the help they need simply because of where they live?
That's accurate.
And is that a national phenomenon?
I'm not sure if it's national.
Well, if it's in New Jersey, why wouldn't it be any different anywhere else?
That's accurate, yeah. It does exist in New Jersey. We see it all the time. And I think that's where agencies like us, we do go out into the community and try to educate, especially even, for example, the schools of Newark, just educate them of what services are available and where the next step and what they can do. But I think it's important to get that message out.
How'd you get into this?
Well, I've always wanted to help people with disabilities. It's impacted.
Why?
It's
I
impacted
interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
You're talking about the personal connection. I'm sorry.
There is a personal connection.
Sure, if you want to.
Sure, yeah. I do have a family member that does have a learning disability, and from there, it just kind of, and being someone that's very emotional, able to express themselves, and just, I wear my heart on my sleeve, seeing that disconnect, it just really spoke to me. And it was something that I really wanted to work on and kind of be able to help and give back. And that was important to me. And knowing that just because there's a disability doesn't mean that you don't have the same opportunities as someone without a disability.
You raised an interesting issue about family. How much do we as a society, in your opinion, A, understand, B, even care about family members of those dealing with autism and the impact it has on, I hate saying the family dynamic, because that's nothing more than individuals in a family and the way they interact with each other. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I think, family support is important. Just in working with the families that I do, when there is that strong family support, there's more of a push to get the services and also being able to proceed forward and have the opportunities that are out there. Whereas when there's that lack of family support, it can be a struggle. It can, I think it impacts their ability to move forward and becoming independent.
Final question.
Yes.
Your degree of empathy and compassion, you practice, you live it every day. It's natural for you. For many other folks in New Jersey, tri-state area, and nationally, the degree of awareness and or empathy, compassion, and caring about those with autism or somewhere on the autism spectrum may not be there. What would you say to other folks watching right now?
To be open-minded, to be inclusive, especially...
Define inclusive.
Inclusive in the sense of, for example, an employer being willing to hire an individual with a disability, and that's on the autism spectrum disorder. Because there are, as much as there's a stigma, there's also such great strengths. And I think an individual should not be defined by their disability.
Stigma's still there?
Yeah.
It's real?
Yeah.
Is it better than it was 5 or 10 years ago?
Yes, I think there is more awareness, but now there needs to be more acceptance.
Well done. Thank you for what you do every day for so many folks who are just looking to be recognized and get the help they need for their families as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the North Ward Center, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, RWJ Barnabas Health, New Jersey Sharing Network, United Airlines, TD Bank, and by Berkeley College. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.